हेलो दोस्तों, सो यू आर वाचिंग लूसीफर टॉक्स, एक इंटरेस्टिंग प्लेटफॉर्म जिसमें हम मिलते हैं बहुत ही बढ़िया बढ़िया किरदारों से, बहुत ऐसे लोग जिन्होंने अपनी इंडस्ट्री के अंदर नाम अपना रोशन किया है, कुछ ना कुछ किया है, कुछ नया कंट्रीब्यूशन किया है। तो आज मेरे साथ हैं करुणा आसमान जी। उनका पहले मैं आपको अंग्रेजी में एक इंट्रोडक्शन देना चाहूँगा कि शी हैज़ ओवर 23 years of experience in international student recruitment and about 30 years of teaching experience. Karuna has an enthusiasm for all aspects of international education. She has helped thousands of students pursue their education in Canada and is known around the world as the expert on studying in Canada. Karuna is extensively experienced in all aspects of international education, from international student recruitment, capacity building, marketing, international partnership development. She has traveled with the Prime Minister of Canada and various government officials on trade missions and is an international advocate for Canada as a study destination. तो हमारे वो दोस्त जो थोड़ा अंग्रेजी में अपना हाथ तंग मानते हैं, तो उनके लिए क्या करुणा जी करीबन 23 साल से इंटरनेशनल स्टूडेंट रिक्रूटमेंट की फील्ड में है। 30 साल का उनको टीचिंग का तजुर्बा है। उन्होंने इंटरनेशनल एजुकेशन की फील्ड में बहुत बड़ा नाम शोहरत हासिल की है और वो इंटरनेशनल स्टूडेंट्स को कनाडा कैसे आया जाए पढ़ाई के लिए उसमें हेल्प करती हैं। उन्होंने अपने 30 साल के करियर के अंदर बहुत सारी चीज़ें करी हैं और उन्होंने प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफ कनाडा और बहुत सारी गवर्नमेंट डेलीगेशंस के साथ, ट्रेड मिशंस के साथ ट्रैवल किया है। तो वेलकम ऑन बोर्ड ऑफ लूसीफर टॉक्स करुणा जी। टुडे वी आर हियर टू एंगेज और हम चाहेंगे कि हमारे व्यूअर्स आपके द्वारा सुने डायरेक्टली कि क्या कैसे यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ वाटरलू के साथ आपका रिलेशनशिप है और कैसे आप स्टूडेंट्स को हेल्प करते हैं इस बढ़िया यूनिवर्सिटी में आने के लिए। सो वेलकम ऑन प्लेटफॉर्म ऑफ लूसीफर टॉक्स।
Thank you, Divakarji. First of all, from one educator to another, I think we both are dedicated to students. तो मैं हिंदी में भी बात कर सकती हूँ और पंजाबी में भी कर सकती हूँ। थैंक यू, हमारे को यहाँ बुलाने के लिए आपका धन्यवाद। और हम बच्चों के लिए हैं यहाँ पे और बच्चों को हेल्प करेंगे। मुझे खुद अपने आप 50 साल हो गए हैं कनाडा में आए, और मैं भी छोटी सी उम्र में यहाँ आई और मैंने कॉलेज में पढ़ा, कॉलेज के बाद यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़ा, फिर मैंने स्कूल में पढ़ाया 30 साल। सो माय एक्सपीरियंस गोज फ्रॉम बीइंग अ न्यू इमिग्रेंट इन कनाडा इन 1970 to studying at the University of Alberta for 9 years, and then going into the field of classroom teacher. And my daughter hasn't fallen too far from the tree. She's also a classroom teacher and teaching at the university. So my whole family is into education. I would like to say that. And as I know some things about you, you have been into education as well for some time. It is called Janta Seva in Hindi, but there's a lot of self-reward when you see your students accomplishing great things in life and fulfilling their own personal dreams. It is a rewarding thing. It is not all monetary, it is emotional. And I'm here to assist and answer any questions you have for me to help students get to top University of Waterloo. And I also assist many other schools of learning for students. Thank you.
बहुत बढ़िया। जैसे आपने खुद ही बताया कि ऑलमोस्ट 50 साल से आप कनाडा में हैं, तो आपने कनाडा में बहुत सारे चेंजेस होते देखे होंगे। तो उन चेंजेस को आप बता पाएंगे कि एक इंटरनेशनल स्टूडेंट के लिए, माँ बाप के लिए क्या चेंजेस हैं इतने 50 सालों में? क्या कनाडा ओपन हुआ है बाहर के लोगों के लिए? क्या यहाँ पे बाहर वालों को आने के लिए आसानी से काम मिलता है? क्योंकि कई बार एजुकेशन एजेंट्स और बहुत सारे लोग जो इंडस्ट्री के अंदर हैं वो कहते हैं कि कनाडा तो इंटरनेशनल स्टूडेंट्स के लिए, इंटरनेशनल ग्रेजुएट्स के लिए बाहें बिछाए खड़ा है कि जैसे ही आप एयरपोर्ट से बाहर निकलोगे लोग नौकरियां लेके आपके लिए वेट कर रहे हैं। क्या ये सच है या कुछ और है?
मैं आपको बताती हूँ कि मैंने पॉपुलेशन कनाडा की बढ़ती हुई देखी है, तो उसके अनुसार मैं आपको ये बताना चाहूँगी कि जॉब्स भी बढ़ती हुई देखी हैं। मैंने कनाडा में कोने से कोने ट्रैवल किया है, यूकॉन तक गए, वाइट हॉर्स तक गए मिलने के लिए स्टूडेंट्स को। क्या देखा है कि हमारे पास कनाडा में एजिंग पॉपुलेशन है और जो लोग आ रहे हैं यहाँ पे वो यंग पॉपुलेशन के हैं। हमें चाहिए टैक्स बिल्डर्स, हमें चाहिए काम करने वाले। सो एज आई रिटायर, आई एम गोइंग टू बी 70 in August. As I retire, somebody has to be there as a practitioner to take over my position. This is the gap that is in the society right now, is people who are desiring to take entry level jobs, people who are trying to take professional jobs. What is happening is, when you have a society in which more than 50% of the population is over 55 to 60 years of age, of course there's a lot of jobs. Having people standing at the airport waiting for jobs, though a very good expression of it, if you get Canadian education and you get Canadian training, your doors will be open. But don't expect the magic of getting a big job at $100,000 right away. You have to pay your dues. You have to learn about our multiculturalism. You have to learn about our ways of working. We are a very honest society. Canada is a very rule bound society. So if you follow the rules and you study and you get jobs and start to build on experience, you will find that many doors will open, as they have for you and as they have for me. Look at what you're doing today. It's an amazing thing. If you were to think about this, and it's a very clear cut pathway, if you can afford it, you should come to Canada. But let me just tell you about the increase in student population. In the last year, over 647,000 students came to Canada as students. That was not the case in 1960s and 1970s and 1980s. There is a growth because that is making it possible for students to get Canadian qualifications and work in Canadian industries. We still have a very strong immigration program, which I'm not part of, which you can speak about a little bit. But student bodies make very strong Canadians when, if they choose to be that. It is not an automatic thing. You have to apply. But there's so many programs, from industry on hands-on practical aircraft maintenance to automotive maintenance to having a PhD in mechatronics engineering. So many programs. So choose your program. Choose it according to your budget. Choose it according to your destination. Look at the Atlantic provinces giving a very quick turnaround time for becoming a permanent resident of Canada. So whatever are your goals, Canada is a beautiful country. I've not regretted it one day being here. So I welcome you to ask questions about education, about how do you find the program. I can assist you. I'm a very good counselor for that.
ਬਹੁਤ ਠੀਕ ਬਾਤ ਬਤਾਈ ਕਰੁਣਾ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਅਭੀ। ਤੋ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਵੀ ਦਰਸ਼ਕ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਜਾਂ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਰੀਜਨ ਤੋਂ ਵੇਖਦੇ ਪਏ ਨੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਲਈ ਇਹ ਮੈਸੇਜ ਬੜਾ ਕਲੀਅਰ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਹਾਂ, ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਓ, ਤੇ ਇਹ ਸਾਡਾ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਹੈ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੈਂਟ ਆਏਗਾ ਉਹਦੇ ਲਈ ਕਾਮਯਾਬੀ ਦੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਰਸਤੇ ਖੁੱਲੇ ਨੇ। ਪਰ ਉਹ ਰਸਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲਈ ਤਦ ਹੀ ਖੁੱਲਣਗੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮਿਹਨਤ ਕਰੋਗੇ। ਕੋਈ ਸ਼ਾਰਟਕਟ ਤਰੀਕਾ ਲੱਭ ਕੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਐਸੇ ਏਜੰਟ ਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਜੋ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨੰਬਰ ਨਾ ਹੋਣ ਦੇ ਬਾਵਜੂਦ ਵੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਨੰਬਰ ਦਿਲਵਾ ਦੇ ਔਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਆ ਜਾਓ, ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆ ਵੀ ਜਾਓ, ਪਰ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਕਾਮਯਾਬੀ ਬੜੀ ਲਿਮਿਟਿਡ ਹੋਣੀ ਹੈ। ਅਗਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਕਿ ਲੌਂਗ ਟਰਮ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਕਸੈਸਫੁਲ ਹੋ, ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਮਿਹਨਤ ਦਾ ਰਸਤਾ ਲੈਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ। ਔਰ ਕਰੁਣਾ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਹਰ ਲੈਵਲ ਦੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਲਈ ਜੌਬ ਨੇ, ਤੇ ਇਹ ਉਹ ਕੰਟਰੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਲੈਂਡ ਆਫ ਗੋਲਡਨ ਓਪਰਚੁਨਿਟੀਜ਼ ਵੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਜੋ ਕੋ ਵੀ ਆਇਆ ਉਹਨੇ ਮਿਹਨਤ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ, ਉਹ ਸਕਸੈਸਫੁਲ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਹੋਇਆ। ਸੋ that's how we all have worked hard. ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਸ ਪਲੇਟਫਾਰਮ ਤੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਆ ਤਾਂ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ it must be easy, they are lucky. We are not lucky people. We worked hard for achieving everything. So now I'm getting into the question answer session, and my first question for you is, how long have you been representing University of Waterloo? What is the ranking of this university?
Absolutely. So, very good question. I've been with them since 2010, going on 10 years. I used to place my students from Alberta, because I was a high school teacher and a director of education there, into University of Waterloo. In that capacity, actually, I had gone to the university to meet Dr. Rothenberg many, many years ago in 2009. And in our conversation, it came out that they needed some assistance in recruiting students from India. So that's how the conversation went. And look, I'm here, and I'm responsible for students coming in from India, from Pakistan, from Middle East, from Mauritius, from Africa. I counsel across those countries and any other place where the students are writing me from. We are ranked very high. Now, how do rankings work in Canada? I don't want students to think that if you're going to a university that does not rank in the same level as University of Waterloo, that those programs are not good. Canadian education is ranked number one in the world. It is providing, whether you go to Brock University or you come to University of Waterloo or you go to Wilfrid Laurier University or you go to Trent, these universities are providing you with immense opportunities of learning the subject matter, having experiential learning. Waterloo has stepped further into making students career ready. So our aim is to give them as much exposure to industry as we can. We help students to define their own programs as well. So I come into, let's say, mechanical engineering. I'm not too sure what I want to do with it. So when you go to work, it starts to define your own interest in the subject matter. We can have students who want to do medicine and dentistry and physiotherapy, etc. They can come into University of Waterloo and take their first degree, become Canadians, and go and pursue their future. It will give them an opportunity to do cooperative education, work and study at the same time, and make some incredible connections with professors and do research. We are known for giving students opportunity to exchange with other university partners. So in rankings, of course, we have only 6 faculties. We have arts, science, environmental science, applied health sciences, which will be faculty of health, mathematics, which has computer science, and engineering, the largest engineering faculty. But in this small number of faculties, we are ranked in the top 155 to 160 in QS ranking, and in the top 5 or 10 in many programs, top 50 in the world for engineering. But we are not teaching exclusive things that other universities are not teaching. We are adding to it, and that addition gives us the ranking. So I want students to know that if you're not able to get into University of Waterloo and you choose another pathway or another university, that's nothing wrong with that. It's okay. I didn't go to University of Waterloo. I'm a graduate from University of Alberta. My children are graduate from U of T and from University of Ottawa. You yourself are working for Wilfrid Laurier University. We are all great schools of learning. And yes, Waterloo has a very high ranking, and the ranking is for the quality of research, quality of cooperative education, quality of extra things the students can do while they're on campus. And biggest thing, Mr. Sharma, is the ability of a student to take their dream to develop a business. 1,845 startups at University of Waterloo, and that puts us above some schools of learning. Thank you.
तो दोस्तों, यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ वाटरलू अपने आप में ये मैं कह सकता हूँ कि ये शिक्षा अनुसंधान में एक विचित्र प्राणी है, जिसके अंदर हर वो लक्षण है जो किसी को भी अचंभित कर सकते हैं। तो ये वो इंस्टीट्यूशन है जहां पर अगर आप चाहते हैं एडमिशन लेना, एडमिशन के बाद जब आप इंस्टीट्यूशन में पहुंचते हैं, आपके पास करने को बहुत कुछ है। आपकी अप्रोच ठीक होनी चाहिए, और अगर आपकी अप्रोच सही है तो आप सक्सीड जरूर करेंगे, चाहे आप इस यूनिवर्सिटी की किसी भी फैकल्टी के अंदर एडमिशन लेते हैं। तो आपका गोल क्लियर होना बहुत जरूरी है। तो करुणा जी, हमने ये सुना कि यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ वाटरलू हैज वेरी स्ट्रिक्ट एंट्री रिक्वायरमेंट्स and sometimes it scares away applicants. What do you think?
Absolutely. I'd be scared too. And I'm not even going to study there. I'm always scared for my students. So why is the entry requirement so high, and why have they changed over the last 10 years? The competition to get in brings increased level of applications. And we are a competitive university. We measure your entry with 2 categories. Number 1 is marks and more marks, bring in more grades, which means that you have concentrated in your studies in your high school program, and you have shown an acumen to learn, because it is not a cakewalk. It requires you to study hard. Number 2 is we are interested in you as a whole person. We are interested in a balanced lifestyle, where a student has taken their education and taken it outside and done things like maybe Olympiads, maybe teaching students in poor communities, maybe taken some extra courses, written an algorithm, some long-term work like sports, music, what you have concentrated. So we measure a student's ability by their ability to have multiple things, marks and extracurricular activities, giving an equal chance to everyone. That particular AIF, admission information form, that students will fill out will be evaluated by professors and teachers and graded. So writing skills are also taken into consideration. I want students to know that we don't make it difficult for students to get in admission from our university. We don't require LORs or SOPs. We don't require IELTS from almost all the students who are doing CBSE or A levels, etc. If you have English as a second language, you're coming from Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, I don't know who all is listening to this program. Yes, IELTS will be required. But if you don't match it, we also have base programs, ELAS programs, we have English language training programs. We are a student-centric university, anything for the student. But unfortunately, if I have 18,000 applications and only 1,100 seats, I am going to take the top candidates who are going to be involved in research, taking things further. But at the same time, we are going to give you pathways to other programs, and students may choose other programs in our university. But I do want you to know that most universities in Canada are becoming very, very competitive. I have students going to my partner university called Wilfrid Laurier and double degree program, and are not able to get in at 94% because the seats are limited. So our advice to students is that from college, a transition into university is also feasible. Go to a college, go to UBC, University of Victoria, Simon Fraser, or come to University of Waterloo, do double degree with Wilfrid Laurier, or do a program at Trent and take a 3-year degree. Lots of choices for students. So don't get so disheartened when Waterloo says you should apply to another university. I always tell students, don't apply to one school of learning. Windsor, for example, has fantastic programs in engineering. My program may require 98%. Or it has landed at 98%, and Windsor may land at 82%. So let's look at it. Let's look at your profile. And my first desire would be for you to go to your desired university. There's another mistake I may just add on to it. Students get very much talked into who is giving large scholarships. We are not a scholarship university. We don't entice you to come with the dollars we will offer you. We entice you to come to do your research, to become career ready. But we do give some scholarship, entrance scholarship, we do department scholarships. But our biggest thing is the working scholarship, going to work. So it's mandatory for you to work in engineering. It's not a selection. We're also a direct entry university. And other universities have very many other benefits. So please look and evaluate your budget, your admission requirements, and ability to get in. I hope that has answered your question.
जी, एक सवाल मेरे पास ये है कि स्टूडेंट्स कई बार और माँ बाप स्पेशली उन कंट्रीज में जहाँ पे डिसीजन मेकर स्टूडेंट नहीं पेरेंट्स हैं, उनकी प्रायोरिटी रहती है कि मेरा बच्चा सिर्फ XYZ यूनिवर्सिटी में जाए, उसके अलावा किसी यूनिवर्सिटी में ना जाए. क्या ये अप्रोच सही है, या फिर उन माँ बाप को ये देखना चाहिए कि जो प्रोग्राम बच्चा करना चाहता है वो उस यूनिवर्सिटी में अच्छा है या नहीं? आपका इस पे क्या व्यू है?
थैंक यू सो मच. अभी मैं हिंदी में जवाब दूंगी. मैं बड़ी टेबल पे बैठती हूँ और पेरेंट्स कहते हैं नहीं, रैंकिंग नहीं अच्छी उस यूनिवर्सिटी की. मैंने कहा क्या रैंकिंग है? कहते रैंकिंग है ही नहीं. उनको ये नहीं मालूम है कि यूनिवर्सिटीज अप्लाई करती हैं रैंकिंग के लिए. It is not every university doesn't get ranked because they don't apply to be ranked. Number one. Number two, अब ले लीजिए UNB का एग्जाम्पल लेते हैं, यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ न्यू ब्रंसविक. अब वो अपने आप को रैंक नहीं करवाती हैं QS रैंकिंग में, वो नहीं फिल करते हैं फॉर्म, या उनकी डाटा कलेक्शन में कमी रह जाती है. पर उसका ये मतलब नहीं कि उनके पास प्रोग्राम्स नहीं है अच्छे वाले, उनके पास बहुत अच्छे प्रोग्राम्स हैं. पर पेरेंट्स क्या करते हैं, 3 चीज़ों पे कॉन्सेंट्रेट करते हैं. Mr. Sharma, number one, they concentrate on the ranking as put out by a genuine QS ranking, Times ranking, etc., or word of mouth ranking. मेरे बेटा तो टोरंटो में पढ़ा था, आपको अपने बेटे को टोरंटो भेजना चाहिए, और आपकी बुआ जी का लड़का है, so there is a family competition. Not realizing what the child went through at their place of learning, or maybe that was the best suited program for that child. Second thing they go for is this universal idea that if you have a degree from U of T or UBC or Waterloo, that automatically you are in life happy. That is not true. I have students that have come to me and said, I have a degree from AYZ, and I am thrilled with my degree. I got a degree from North Island College and I did BBA. And guess what? I went to UConn and I met students from Sheridan, North Island College, working there. And I said, what are you guys doing here? And they said, Madam, we never thought that anybody would pay us this kind of wages and we would get this kind of a job. And that's from a degree from a college. And they were all managers and they were doing really, really well. So misconception is that a degree from a college or a junior university will not get you those opportunities. Of course, Waterloo's degree will get you different opportunities. और जो तीसरी बात पे फंस जाते हैं कि कहाँ स्कॉलरशिप ज़्यादा मिलेगी. अब प्रॉब्लम सुनती है मिस्टर शर्मा. मेरी फीस है 61,300 फॉर इंजीनियरिंग के लिए, ठीक है. एक जूनियर
पर ईयर है,
पर ईयर. एक दूसरी यूनिवर्सिटी की लेते हैं, उनकी है 25,000 यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ सस्कैचुअन. अब इनकी यूनिवर्सिटी और हमारी यूनिवर्सिटी में इंजीनियरिंग तो दोनों बड़ी सिमिलर टाइप की है ना. अब वो दे रहे हैं स्कॉलरशिप एट अ सर्टेन लेवल, हम दे रहे हैं सर्टेन लेवल, पर वो कोऑप गारंटी नहीं कर रहे हैं. तो उसमें फंस जाएंगे कि नहीं वहाँ नहीं जाना है, ठंडी बहुत है, हाँ फीस कम है पर आपकी फीस के साथ वो है. तो ऐसे कंपैरिजन करना शुरू कर देते हैं वेदर वाइज, स्कॉलरशिप वाइज. ये नहीं देख रहे कि एक बच्चे को मैं अब ये कहना चाह रही हूँ ताकि सुने, बच्चा रैंक्ड है, बच्चा 85% पे बैठा है, वो रैंक नहीं है ना, वो अपनी क्लास में फर्स्ट सेकंड थर्ड नहीं है, उसके मार्क्स नहीं आए. तो ये वाली जो ये फॉल्सहुड है, इसको निकालने की जरूरत है. कहाँ सबसे अच्छा प्रोग्राम आपके बच्चे के लिए मिलता है जिससे कि उसको इंजीनियरिंग, उसके बाद आ जाए मास्टर्स के लिए, कहीं पे भी चला जाए. यू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट आई मीन. अब आपको मालूम है कि जॉनथन कहाँ अल्बर्टा से शुरू करके कहाँ गया, कहाँ से यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ टोरंटो में पहुंचा. शुरू तो नहीं किया ना टोरंटो से, टैशर ने शुरू किया अल्बर्टा से, फिर ऑटवा में गई. तो इन चीजों के लिए पेरेंट्स को ओपन माइंड, खुला दिमाग रखने की बहुत जरूरत है. जब हम उनके साथ बैठते हैं, कहते हैं सर, एक तो पेरेंट्स बहुत नाराज हो जाते हैं, नहीं सर ये एडमिसिबल नहीं है, अच्छी बात नहीं है, आपके $250 लग जाएंगे, मैं आपको ऐसा प्रोग्राम देती हूँ जिससे कि आपका गोल भी हो जाएगा. तो उस चीज में मैं वाटरलू हर बच्चे को लेके आना चाहती हूँ. पूछिए मेरे से, या तो यूनिवर्सिटी ट्रिपल कर दे अपनी एंट्रेंस तो हम ले आते हैं. अगर 95 पे बच्चा अंदर नहीं जा पा रहा तो उसको वो डाउन एक प्रोग्राम देंगे मैथमेटिक्स. कितनी आर्ग्यूमेंट होती है पेरेंट के साथ कि सर इसको जाने दीजिए अगर आपका वाटरलू इंटेंट है, क्योंकि 1 साल के बाद ही कैन गो टू डाटा साइंस, ही कैन गो टू फाइनेंस, ही कैन गो हियर, पहले डायरेक्ट में नहीं गया. तो ये चीज़ों के लिए ओपन माइंड चाहिए और हमारे से बात करिए. हम आपके, मैं कह देती हूँ, मालूम नहीं कोई और कहे, आई एम अ सर्वेंट फॉर योर स्टूडेंट्स. मैं उनके सर्व के लिए बैठी हूँ. अब मैं जी भी इसीलिए रही हूँ कि जितने बच्चों की जिंदगी बना सकते हैं बना दें, और उसमें हमारा फायदा है. क्यों? कनाडा में आ रहे हैं, काम करेंगे, हमारे पॉपुलेशन बढ़ रही है. तो प्लीज लिसन टू द काउंसलर्स, वेदर इट इज फ्रॉम माई यूनिवर्सिटी, विल्फर लॉरिए, ट्रेंड, यूएनपी, कहीं से भी. कोई आपको गलत एडवाइस नहीं देगा इस चीज में. देयर आर नोबडी सिटिंग देयर जस्ट टू पुश यू इनटू अ प्रोग्राम. थैंक यू.
बहुत सही कहा आपने. और एक और चीज बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग है जो कनाडा से बाहर लोगों को समझ नहीं आती, कि कनेडियन इंस्टीट्यूशंस ग्रुप बना के जाते हैं रिक्रूटमेंट के लिए, और जब हम फेयर में होते हैं, अगर लॉरी के मैं रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा हूँ, आप वाटरलू को कर रहे हैं, और भी लोग हैं, हमारे पास एक बच्चा आता है कि मुझे एक्स प्रोग्राम में एडमिशन चाहिए. अगर मेरे पास वो प्रोग्राम नहीं है, मैं खुशी से कहता हूँ भाई ऐसा करो, तुम उस काउंटर पे जाओ, उनके पास ये प्रोग्राम है. तो लोगों को लगता है कि आप एक कॉम्पिटिटिव इंस्टीट्यूशन को स्टूडेंट पास आउट कर रहे हैं. और इस पे आप क्या रिएक्शन है आपका, क्या लगता है आपको कि हमारी अप्रोच क्या है कनाडा में, हम क्या सोचते हैं?
मेरे साथ हर रोज ये बात होती है कि मैडम आप कैसे कर सकती हैं किसी और को प्रमोट, आप तो वाटरलू के काउंटर पे बैठी हैं. मैंने कहा पर दे आर ऑल माई फ्रेंड्स, दीज आर माई कॉलीग्स, आई वॉन्ट टू वर्क विद ऑल माई इंस्टीट्यूशंस. At least 22 of them take personal guidance from me, but all over 130 institutions in Canada are my colleagues, direct colleagues. So if a program, Waterloo doesn't have an MBA program. So if a child comes for an MBA program, of course, I'll send them to Thomson Rivers, UNB. I will also ask them to look at Manitoba. I would also ask them to look at programs being offered by different universities, because I don't know what the full experience of the child is. For me to just say, I don't have it, go forward, the child is not getting my best. So I say, no, Canadian McMaster has a fantastic MBA program. Fantastic. You want to look at it? The cost is at 82,000. Toronto has one for 150,000. But the person says, my budget is between 30 to 40,000. So it, as a Canadian, gives me absolute, how would I say, responsibility to say to the student, hey, guess what? I know about 3 or 4 programs, Vancouver Island, Thomson Rivers, UNB, these Brock, they offer this program. Now look at the location, look at where the job availabilities are. That's up to you now. I've given you a pathway to check. And I know for a fact that many of my friends send me a quick message. Chelsea will say, I have a student at 95%, Mrs. Ausman, I'm sending them to your booth. It will send me a message, because Canadians don't work in a competitive way. We work in a helping mode. हमारा क्या responsibility है कि हर एक बच्चे के पास ऐसा program आए कि वो successful हो. My biggest accomplishment in life कि जिन बच्चों को मैं लेके आती हूँ वो succeed होते हैं. क्यों? क्योंकि हमारी original counseling, Mr. Sharma, you've sat with me, is always कि कल को बच्चा इस program में successful ਹੋ ਪਾਏਗਾ कि नहीं हो पाएगा. ਇੱਕ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਚ ਗੱਲ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਆ, ਬੱਚਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਭੇਜ ਛੱਡਿਆ, ਨਾਲ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਬੱਚਾ ਹੈ ਜੀ, ਹੁਣ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੰਭਾਲੋ ਇਹਨੂੰ, ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਡਾਂਟ ਵੀ ਲਾ ਦੇਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਕਰ ਕੀ ਰਹੇ, ਪੜ੍ਹ ਤੇ ਲੈ, ਨੰਬਰ ਤੇ ਬੜੇ ਕੰਮ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ. ਸੋ ਇੱਥੇ ਰਿਸਪੌਂਸਿਬਿਲਿਟੀ ਰਜਿਸਟ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਤੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਖਤਮ ਹੁੰਦੀ, ਇਹ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਖਤਮ ਜਦ ਬੱਚਾ ਡਿਗਰੀ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਯੂਨੀਵਰਸਿਟੀ ਤੋਂ ਨਿਕਲ ਕੇ ਆਉਂਦਾ. ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਕਿੰਨੀ ਵਾਰੀ ਬੱਚੇ ਗਲਤੀਆਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਚੀਟਿੰਗ ਕਰ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਨੇ. ਅਸੀਂ ਖੜੇ ਹਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ, ਅਸੀਂ ਸਮਝਾਉਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਜਾਣ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਵੀ ਸਮਝਾਉਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਜਦ ਉੱਥੇ ਨੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਸਮਝਾਉਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ. Give 100% support to the student. Me and my bosses, I must tell you that I have an incredible group of people I work with that all stand by the student. We are student-centric 100%.
ठीक, बहुत ठीक. We'll move to our next question here. What distinguishes University of Waterloo in comparison to other universities such as UBC or UFT?
Okay, and McGill and your university.
Yeah.
Just what we do with the student. Because we're student-centered, the supports we give to the student, 24-hour support for any student in any condition, residence in the on our. Everybody has residence. That's not a big thing, but residents having tutors and dons and helping them out. We stand out for making professional careers. We are the biggest producers of millionaires and billionaires in Canada. So in the world, actually, if you were, it's not that you will become one, but you have an opportunity to become one. You use a phone every day. You don't realize where the smart technology came from. One major thing to remember, any idea you have in the classroom, you want to take it forward with your professor, is your idea. It doesn't belong to the university. Whereas in other universities, and I don't know what it is for other ones, the idea belongs and it is co-shared. We don't share, it belongs, and we have faculties and processes set up through Velocity, through living learning communities for students to be able to take their ideas to fruition. In 5 years, think about 1,845 startups. That's what makes us different. And of course, cooperative education for all students in engineering makes us different. Having a direct startup, starting a program makes us different. What makes us different is also what makes us better and what makes us more in demand. I have a third-year student working side by side with professor and is teaching, is doing research. Amazing student. His brother is going to come and join us now. But look at the opportunity, and other universities also have similar opportunities. So, draw of the luck also. Where will you come in?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we have another question here, and it's like students have heard about the double degree partnership between University of Waterloo and the school next door, Wilfrid Laurier.
Okay.
Can you explain this partnership and provide some insights into double degree?
Sure. First of all, we were born in 1957 as a direct relationship with Wilfrid Laurier. Wilfrid Laurier was more humanities and liberal arts and business kind of a university. Waterloo came into the scene with technical programs like engineering, etc. So the relationship is long term. Yeah, Wilfrid Laurier is around 110 years old and a very beautiful campus, only about a kilometer and a half away from University of Waterloo's door. In this relationship, two double degree programs came into existence: mathematics and business, and second one is computer science and business. Students need to have business acumen. They need to have the ability to make contracts, to be able to calculate, be able to do structural things, which people do it through MBA programs. This is a 5-year mandatory cooperative education program. Entry from Waterloo side can be sometimes very complex because the competition is for seats, not that many seats. And 1% difference from Wilfrid Laurier's side, something that went in with 96 at Waterloo side, yours could go in from 94, 95. This partnership has given us incredible group of students. When I was in Middle East and you helped me out and I was doing the send-off events and students had not received their offers or had received that they didn't get into Waterloo, we were able to go to you and say, do you have any seats available? And we were able to help students out. Now, students have a real problem with that because they feel that somehow the quality of the education would go down. It is the same program. Doesn't matter which door you're entering, whether you enter from the right door or you go and you enter from the west door. It is exactly the same program. The difference is the quality of, how would I put, managing your co-op gets into a issue. Will they be able to come into Waterloo's job mine? That's the question that students have. Listen, same industries are hiring Wilfrid Laurier students as they are hiring Waterloo students. Of course, Waterloo has a bigger pool of industry, 7,100, but you're not going to go and make hamburgers if you're going through Wilfrid Laurier. They are going to give you more business-oriented programs. Maybe their industries are, you're going to combine business and IT management maybe. So have an open mind, because your degree will be one from University of Waterloo, 2 parchments. I always teach my students, माँ को 2 साड़ियाँ खरीदनी पड़ेंगी, एक जाएगी विल्फ्रेड लॉरियर की कॉन्वोकेशन में और एक जाएगी वाटरलू की कॉन्वोकेशन में. Those are very much in demand programs. Seats are limited. You should apply from both sides. Take your chances to come in. And let's say खुदा ना खास्ता आपसे नहीं हो पा रहा, आप नहीं कर पा रहे, पर आपको बिजनेस पसंद आ गया, सीएस नहीं पसंद आया, तो आप सीएस को ड्रॉप कर सकते हैं, या ऑपोजिट भी हो सकता है. पर ट्राई करिए कि दोनों को खत्म कर ले तो अच्छा है. पढ़ाई में ध्यान दें और माँ बाप के पैसे बचेंगे. एमबीए नहीं करना पड़ेगा, सीधा जाएंगे मास्टर्स के प्रोग्राम में. तो आप भी थोड़ा सा ऐड करिएगा इसमें कि व्हाट आर योर व्यू पॉइंट्स ऑन दैट.
मेरे व्यूज ऐड करने से पहले मैं एक और सेंटिमेंट उठाना चाहता हूं आपसे पूछने को. कई बार, many times I've seen, parents are of this opinion when they get into this double degree, they will study first 2 years at Laurier and then they'll study the remaining 2 years at Waterloo and then they'll graduate with 2 degrees. तो ये मार्केट में शायद अफवाह है कि इस तरीके से डबल डिग्री पास की जा सकती है, या पेरेंट्स को ये क्लैरिटी नहीं है कि डबल डिग्री का मतलब है you will be studying at both the institutions from the very first day, and when you graduate you will graduate with 2 degrees from both the institutions, and both institutions work in partnership but they are separate entities. No one is under any of them, so we both universities have a standalone position. So that is something which all these students need to understand.
Yeah.
And I feel it's very well put by you that from University of Waterloo, they have the opportunity to get into the sciences and the computer science field or the mathematics. From Wilfrid Laurier, it would be more towards the business because that's what we are known for. Wilfrid Laurier has about 6,300 employers on panel as well. And we work hard for all of our students to succeed. And get the benefit of this double degree program. तो next सवाल की तरफ चलते हैं. Could you please share about the top programs at the undergraduate level from offered by University of Waterloo?
So let me start by the arts program first of all. Okay, big misunderstanding that they, and it's systemic since I was a student, that बच्चा स्मार्ट होएगा तो साइंसेज होएगा तो जे नहीं स्मार्ट होए तो आर्ट्स से जाएगा. Not true. They never taken into consideration that students have desires and interests, etc. Also, it is not about I'm smart, so I'm going into sciences. So going back to that, my arts faculty, except for computational finance and accounting and finance, rest of the programs don't require mathematics. Very flagship program for us. Number 2 point, we have double major possibilities in this particular program. A student wanting to do peace and conflict can also do political science. Person wanting to do economics can also do business. So I would say those are our flagship kind of combinations. I have programs in global business and digital art, giving students a lot of wonderful opportunity to get into advertisement, business acumen for that. Going right from there, we are going to go into environment. Environment in business is mandatory cooperative education, aviation program. Let's go from there into geomatics in environment. You can have computer science application program with stats and geosciences. Let's go into health sciences. We have program in health studies and health sciences to be able to go into 54% of the students will go into professional degrees or master's program. We go into science, physics and astronomy, a very big program demanded by students. Donna Strickland is a laureate. And now remember that we have had a lot of students wanting to do physics and astronomy, but let's look at medicinal chemistry, look at pharmacy, look at optometry. Students have so much choice. Biochemistry, people who want to do biomedical sciences. Let's go to engineering, biomedical engineering. You want to create a new machine. Engineering is our biggest seller, of course, and students know that. For cooperative education, which is mandatory, and the degrees are so well respected that 100% employability. Software engineering students are doing their work terms in San Francisco and different countries. We have huge developers like programming, etc. also is happening. Biomedical engineering, very hard to get into if you want to get into that program. Then let's go to the largest math faculty of the world, standalone math department, which houses our data science and computer science program. Now, what is the interesting part of it? That students can become chartered professional accountants. They can write the outside exams as part of their degree and then finish that after 1 year of work. Amazing things in that department. Financial analysis and risk management, a very difficult course to get into. Business and CPA program, difficult to get into, but guess what is happening in the end? You can be a CFA, you can be a CPA. So all of these things are very, very important for students to know. We are known for both humanities, health sciences, and we are known for engineering and mathematics. There's a wrong message in the market that we are only that. We have 100 programs and equally good. You just talk to us and we will help you. So I have a student who was not interested in nanotechnology, but somebody told him that you have to be an engineer. I said, no, I have materials in nanoscience. You can come in. And he was ever so happy that he didn't want to go into an engineering, didn't want to be called an engineer, his own personal bias on that, but he wanted to be a research scientist in nanoscience. So we have that. So looking at programs and our understanding, we can help you. We have a very good website that gives you an opportunity to take this information, and I can help you with that if you contact me. Thank you.
Right. करुणा जी, एक परसेप्शन है मार्केट में और पेरेंट्स के तरफ से, वो लोग सोचते हैं अगर बच्चा आर्ट्स की तरफ जा रहा है या कॉमर्स की तरफ जा रहा है तो हो सकता है उसमें दिमाग कम है, और अगर वो बच्चा साइंस में जा रहा है तो ये बड़ा आउटस्टैंडिंग बच्चा है। जबकि मेरी खुद की परसेप्शन ये है, साइंस दिखती डरावनी है, पर हर वो आदमी उसमें सक्सेसफुल है जिसमें रिटेंशन कैपेसिटी है। क्योंकि ये फॉर्मूला बेस्ड है, सो आई फील कि साइंस स्ट्रीम इज फार इजियर in comparison to becoming successful in arts or commerce. What do you think?
Well, I'm an example of an art student. I've been very successful from 18 and a half years of age to present day, not a single day without work, not a single day without double work. So it depends on your personality, first of all. That's the first thing. And your interest. If you're happy with what you're doing, everything is feasible. And you're absolutely right. The misconception in the society, especially the Indian society, is that a science student is a brighter student. So I have to tell my audience that in grade 9, used to have a grade 11 program in my time. I was in a math class and I asked a teacher the meaning of infinity and to explain the formula she had written on the board. Because it took me one question, she said for me to leave the room, go wash my face and come back because I didn't have a scientific mind. And I left it. But obviously I didn't. So I never returned because I felt embarrassed as to how I had been put down in the first year of my learning. And then realized when I became a teacher of social studies and history, etc., that you're absolutely right. Those are harder things. I had to read books of Socrates, Plato, and understand the Mathematica Principia. And, I had to read Whitehead's books. And those were harder. I didn't have a formula to follow. I had to make a connection. I laugh at the thesis I read for my daughter half the time and say, what the heck does this mean? So parents should look at students' ability to comprehend philosophical, theoretical things instead of if I can retain a formula practice. I will never say that science students are not smart students. They're very, very bright kids, and kids are doing some amazing things. But equally, look at what the art students are doing. Look at global business and digital art student who is supporting an engineer and promoting their business. Look at a finance person or an accounting person who is taking businesses further. Look at the person who is making choices for NGOs. They are political science. The world is running on both pillars and many pillars, but we must look at people who think differently philosophically to people who think factually and accurately. I'll never forget what Neil Armstrong said. He became very philosophical when he came back and became very religious. And somebody said, why the change? And he said, things you cannot explain come from that source. And remember that there's lots in this life that we think can be explained through science. Yes, science is very important and very, my children are both science majors, but they also have become combination of science and humanities. Liberal arts, humanities, social work, sociology. Look at the societies, what they're facing with pandemic, health sciences, how to deal with it. We are trying to bring in program where young people can help out those kids who have or families that have suffered COVID. And that's all will be based on community relationships, social work, etc. So I hope that answers your question in a very convoluted way. But I'm trying to say, मैं पंजाबी चाहे कहना चाहूंगी कि कोई भी पढ़ाई ना ऊपर है ना नीचे है, हर एक दा पर्पस है. ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬੱਚਾ ਸੋਸ਼ਲ ਵਰਕ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਅਬਿਊਜ਼ ਨਾਲ ਡੀਲ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ, ਉਸ ਦੀ ਜੌਬ ਇੰਨੀ ਵੱਡੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਕੋਈ ਸਾਇੰਸ ਵਾਲਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਠੀਕ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਬੱਚੇ ਦੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਟੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਕੰਮ. ਹੁਣ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਹੋਗੇ ਕਿ ਨਰਸਿੰਗ, ਹੁਣ ਨਰਸਿੰਗ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਡਿਗਰੀ ਲੈ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ, ਪ੍ਰੈਕਟੀਕਲ ਨਰਸਿੰਗ ਲੈ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ, ਪਰ ਉਹ ਦੋਨੋਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਸ ਹੈ ਨਾ. LPN and an RN both have equal responsibility. ਇੱਕ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਗੀ ਤਾਂ ਦੂਜਾ ਕੰਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ. That's what my point is.
Very good. ਹੁਣ ਇਸ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਤੋਂ ਇੱਕ ਹੋਰ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਅੱਗੇ ਆਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮਾਂ-ਬਾਪ ਬੱਚੇ ਕਨਫਿਊਜ਼ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਥੋੜੇ ਜਿਹੇ ਨਰਸਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨੇ ਆ. ਨਰਸਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਇਹ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਮੇਲ ਚਾਈਲਡ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਆਈ ਵਾਂਟ ਟੂ ਪਰਸਿਊ ਨਰਸਿੰਗ, ਔਰ ਏਸ਼ੀਆ, ਅਫਰੀਕਾ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਯੂ ਆਰ ਮਾਈ ਸਨ ਐਂਡ ਯੂ ਵਾਂਟ ਟੂ ਬੀ ਅ ਮੇਲ ਨਰਸ, what a shame you're going to bring to the family. So what is your view? What do you think?
Yeah, and that has changed, right? In 1950s, 60s, 70s, my sister worked in the Faculty of Nursing at the University of Calgary, a very powerful professor. She went further. She also became a nurse in the childbirth, the maternal section of it. So there would be no males. Of course, that was never a thing. Things have changed a lot. Males could be orderly, but never the nurse, because you are going to be dealing with human body parts. That's so changed at this moment. I want to say something to you. The nursing graduates make more money in Canada than many other professions. And male nurses are very much needed in the society because of sometimes sheer strength of being able to hold a patient, etc., and their interest. They are helpers. They want to help. And there's nothing gender oriented in a profession. This is to say that the person who climbs the pole for electricity should be a male. There are lots and lots of people who are doing engineering. Engineering was never seen as a female profession. Let me give you an example. In 1974, when I went to University of Alberta, I first took business. And I want to add to this story. The business program had maybe 80 students in the classroom. 78 of them were males, and myself and a young lady named Amy from Korea was the second student. Very small international population at that time. And guess what? After a week, I felt really intimidated in that room. I felt, oh my God, this is a very male-oriented business kind of a thing. Like they were talking finance, investment, etc. So I left and went into education. Just to give you an idea that women were not in business either in 1950s, 60s, 70s. And now more students will ask for a business degree than they did in that time, because business, who is going to let तुसी जाके उन्हें negotiate थोड़े करेंगे, कुड़ी है तू. So that same thinking has to change out of nursing. Nursing is not a program in where people are going to just look at body parts. They're going to give injections. They're going to look at person's health and make their vital reports, write all of that. My son, who is a doctor, said a good nurse is what makes the difference between giving a good care to the patient or not, because they are so talented in what they do. So nursing is a profession of respect. It's a profession needed, profession which has a lot of potential for money. You can do a 2.5-year program in practical nursing, or you can do a full 4-year nursing degree. And if you in the future want to go into medicine, you can, but it's a fantastic way to get into medical profession, providing assistance, medical lab technicians. All of those professions are fantastic for males or females. Depends on the interest of the child.
Great. There's another view, another question here. And as an instructor, as a teacher in the past, probably you know this really better, in a much better way. We have different personalities. There are extroverts and there are introverts.
Yes.
So when you are coaching students at a fair, I'm sure within the first 5 seconds you're able to understand where this child is leaning towards. But the parent is not agreeing to the choice of the child. So just on top of your mind, tell any few things or few fields which would be suitable to either an extrovert student first, and few streams suitable for someone who's an introvert.
Absolutely. So there are two things happening. First of all, family pressure is a very big thing in some cultures, where the father has decided in a grade 6 that the child is going to be a doctor, a child's going to be an engineer. So I had similar kind of situation. I had a child who wanted to do financial analysis and risk management, and the father absolutely did not want him to do that, because he wanted him to become a CPA, because he knew of a CFA that had failed. And the kid did not raise his eyes. He was like this, wants to see me. So I found a solution. I said, we'll apply to both. We'll apply to both. There were 5 or 6 months before the admission would have been finished. And then I took it upon myself to write to the father and had the department write to them about the differences and what the success rate was. This introvert child is coming from two sources. One, the fear of offending a parent, not being able to say something. And these nuclear families are a little different, but if you're coming from a joint family, there is pressure of a grandfather, father, aunts, uncles, etc., right? And that child has become a little bit submissive. So sometimes it reacts in two ways. The child is really mouthy and he will say things, or child doesn't say anything. So as a recruiter, as a high school teacher, my job is to bring the child out. So I have been known and have gotten into trouble to say to the parent, "Sir, I will talk to you after I have spoken to the child. I need the child to speak to me before I can assist them any further." Or I will have a child take my card and write to me privately. I पंजाबी लोग, हिंदी लोग सारे सुन रहे हैं। एक बात बोलूंगी, बच्चे को अपनी बात बताने का मौका दीजिए। जब आ जाते हैं यहाँ पे, 3-4 बारी ऐसे हुआ है कि बच्चा आके कहता है, मेरे को इंजीनियरिंग बिल्कुल नहीं पढ़ना था, मेरा तो दिल फाइन आर्ट्स पढ़ने का है, एंड ही इज नॉट पासिंग। फिर आप मुझे लिखते हैं ऐसे करके, अब जो मर्जी कर दीजिए, आपका बच्चा है। अब शुरू से ही आप मेरे को अगर ये दे रहे हैं ये स्टेटस, तो एक बात करने भी दीजिए बच्चे से कि तुम्हारे दिल में क्या है। अब देखिए, अगर उसको फाइन आर्ट्स में इंटरेस्ट है तो मैं उससे किसी और चीज की बात कर सकती थी कि आप सिस्टम डिजाइन में जाएं बच्चा, उसमें आपको मौका मिल जाएगा कि मेरे पास आपको सेटिस्फाई करने के लिए और बच्चे को सेटिस्फाई करने के लिए भी चीजें हैं। एक और छोटी सी बात बताती हूँ मैं आपको कि किसी भी प्रोग्राम में बच्चा जब आता है और खुशी से पढ़ता है, वो इतनी ऊपर जाता है उस चीज में। पर अगर किसी ऐसे प्रोग्राम में भेजते हो जो कि तुम्हारी चॉइस है, क्योंकि सोसाइटी कह रही है कि डॉक्टर बनेगा तो अच्छा है, इंजीनियर बनेगा तो अच्छा है, ये बने, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। मेरे बेटे ने पॉलिटिकल साइंस से डिग्री शुरू करी और उसको मैंने बोला, तुम करना है तो कर लो, पर ये तुम्हारे को अच्छी नहीं लगेगी बाद में, तुम साइंटिफिक तरीके से बात सोचते हो, इतनी थ्योरेटिकल चीजें से नहीं सोचते हो। अपने आप ही बच्चा भी वापस आ जाता है। कोई भी पढ़ाई खराब नहीं है, कोई भी एडिशन खराब नहीं है। हर एक स्टेप पे ये पूछना बहुत जरूरी है, इज द चाइल्ड हैप्पी विद द चॉइस ऑफ प्रोग्राम? इफ ही इज हैप्पी, trust me, he's going to put more than 100% of his energy into that course. इतना पैसा लगाने के बाद अगर बच्चा अपने कमरे में बैठा रहे और पढ़े नहीं, तो उस चीज का कोई फायदा नहीं है हमको। मैं बिजनेस से एजुकेशन में गई, पीएचडी तक पहुंची, अपनी थीसिस नहीं डिफेंड करी, पर कितने खुशी से काम किया है, सारी उम्र बच्चों के साथ काम किया है और टचवुड बहुत अच्छी इनकम कमाई है। खुशी से आपको जॉब भी बहुत अच्छी मिलती है। इंट्रोवर्ट बच्चे एक और चीज करते हैं हमारे कि वो काम में जब कोऑप में जाते हैं तो उनकी इंटरव्यू में भी वो आती है ना, शाइनेस आ जाती है, तो उसको तोड़ने के लिए भी आप शुरू कर दीजिए ग्रेड 10 से ही बच्चों से। क्या कोई आया है रिलेटिव, बताइए बेटा आपका क्या ओपिनियन है उसमें, so the children learn to speak. But being an introvert is very much a thing for students, and then they find jobs that relate to them. They work at their desk, they don't go out and do public relations. But I would like children, if they're listening to it, feel free to be able to write. If you cannot speak, just say, I was thinking, and we would help you out in every which way. And parents usually support a very intelligent conversation. सारे पेरेंट्स यही चाहते हैं कि बच्चा खुशी खुशी पढ़ ले, जॉब अच्छी करे, सेटल हो जाए। उस वास्ते से ਤੁਹਾਡੇ we are sitting here to help you out.
ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਠੀਕ। ਇਹਦੇ ਚ ਮੈਂ ਸਿਰਫ ਇੱਕੋ ਹੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਐਡ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੂੰਗਾ ਕਰੁਣਾ ਜੀ।
ਹਾਂ।
ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਬੱਚੇ ਇਹ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮਾਂ ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ, ਚਾਹੇ ਯੂਨੀਵਰਸਿਟੀ ਆਫ ਵਾਟਰਲੂ ਦਾ ਹੋਏ, ਲੌਰੀਏ ਹੋਏ, ਚਾਹੇ ਟੋਰਾਂਟੋ ਹੋਏ, ਮਾਂ ਪਿਓ ਨੇ ਜ਼ਬਰਦਸਤੀ ਆਪਣਾ ਸੁਪਨਾ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਵੇਚਤਾ। ਪਿਓ ਦੇ ਖੁਦ 50% ਨੰਬਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਏ ਸੀ ਤੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਦੇ ਗਲਤੀ ਨਾਲ 90 ਆ ਗਏ, ਤੇ ਉਹਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਹੁਣ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਹੀ ਬਣਨਾ ਹੈ। ਠੀਕ ਹੈ, ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਬੱਚਾ ਜਿਹਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਇੰਟਰਸਟ ਡਾਕਟਰੀ ਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ, ਆ ਕੇ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਪੜਦਾ ਹੈ, ਪਹਿਲੇ 2 ਮਹੀਨੇ ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਉਹਦੀ ਸਿਚੁਏਸ਼ਨ ਇਹ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਬੱਚੇ ਚ ਸੁਸਾਈਡਲ ਟੈਂਡੈਂਸੀਜ਼ ਡਿਵੈਲਪ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ।
ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ।
ਤੇ ਉਹ ਇਹ ਸਟੇਜ ਹੈ ਜਦੋਂ ਇਹੀ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਫੋਰਸਫੁਲੀ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਬੱਚਾ ਕੋਈ ਕੰਮ ਕਰੇ, ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਹੁਣ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਉਹੀ ਕਰਨ ਦਿਓ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬੱਚਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਤੇ ਦ ਮੈਸੇਜ ਥਰੂ ਦਿਸ ਪਲੇਟਫਾਰਮ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੋਨੋਂ ਇਹੀ ਦੇਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਆਪਣਾ ਸੁਪਨਾ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਨਾ ਥੋਪੋ। ਜ਼ਮਾਨੇ ਚਲੇ ਗਏ, ਸਾਡੇ ਹੁਣ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਬੱਚੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ, 1-2 ਬੱਚੇ ਤੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਦਾ ਬੱਚਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ। ਅਸੀਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਚਾਹਾਂਗੇ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਬੱਚਾ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਆਏ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਤੋਂ ਇੰਨੀ ਦੂਰ ਹੋਏ ਔਰ ਉਹ ਮੈਂਟਲ ਹੈਲਥ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਫੇਸ ਕਰੇ। ਖੁਦਾ ਨਾ ਖਾਸਤਾ ਬੱਚਾ ਅਗਰ ਕਦੀ ਕੋਈ ਸੁਸਾਈਡ ਕਰ ਗਿਆ, ਸਾਰੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਲਈ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਰਹੋਗੇ। ਤੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਕਰਨ ਦਿਓ ਜੋ ਉਹ ਬੱਚਾ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਹੁਣ ਆਇਆ ਮੇਰੇ ਕੋਲ, ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ what is the difference between diploma and degree in Canada?
Sure, that's a very
Doing
important.
yeah, and there's a second part. Does a degree lead to better career or job prospects rather than a diploma?
Sure, I'll explain to both. First of all, mental health issues are very common in our day and age because society itself is putting a lot of pressure. So anywhere we can diffuse that, I would like parents to do that because societies are not easy. Not in India, not in Bangladesh, not in Canada. Everybody has issues. Now, going back to diploma and degree, diploma is you can do associate degree, you can do a diploma, or you can do a full 4-year degree. My first point would be, can you afford 4 years? Okay. If you do a diploma in a degree, associate degree of 2 years, that doesn't mean that you're going to always get bad jobs or you're not going to make money. The trajectory to making big money will require completion of a degree at a future time, because to be a supervisor, to take a bigger position in a company, a degree is frequently required. And if you want to ever do masters, you will be requiring a degree, but you don't have to do it altogether. So I started with a diploma. We all can tell you that first 2 years, then take a break, become a Canadian if you want to try and become. It's not a guarantee. Or just work. And then when you're a little bit mature, while you're working, keep taking one course at a time. Finish your degree. Will the degree give you better jobs? Depends on where you're willing to move, what the degree is. A degree is a status. To be able to say you have a degree opens the doors for management, supervisory roles. But starting with a degree, if you're not able to afford it, that is fine. There's nothing wrong with doing an associate degree and taking a break, or a diploma and taking a break. So many institutions, Columbia College, North Island College, Douglas College, Sheridan College, all offer 2-year programs to the students. Parents have to decide if the student can be afforded for 4-year degree and you want to finish a degree. That also is a very good goal. हम अफोर्ड कर सकते हैं तो आराम से भेज दीजिएगा 4 साल की डिग्री के लिए. अफोर्ड नहीं कर सकते हैं तो 2 साल के प्रोग्राम को लेके एसोसिएट डिग्री करिए, डिप्लोमा करिए. Yes, there will be an income difference because we pay on measure of education and experience. पर जो बच्चा 2 साल करके एक्सपीरियंस लेके आ जाता है, उसकी सैलरी वहां पहुंच जाएगी जहां दूसरे की है. It takes time. But there's nothing wrong with diploma. Now I'm going to add one more thing to that. बच्चे के नंबर कितने हैं? अगर बच्चे के नंबर 50, 60, 65 में बैठे हैं और आप डिग्री ढूंढ रहे हैं, पहले बच्चे को तो स्ट्रांग तो होने दो. आज चेल्सी कोलंबिया कॉलेज वाले ने बोला है बहुत अच्छे से कैमरून के बच्चे को कि इट गिव्स डिप्लोमा एंड 2-year प्रोग्राम गिव यू द स्ट्रेंथ टू लर्न द कैनेडियन वे एंड द नॉलेज टू लर्न द कैनेडियन वे. तो उससे आपकी अगली सक्सेस भी आएगी. पर मैं कई लोगों को जानती हूँ जो 2 साल के डिप्लोमा के बाद दे आर कार डीलर्स, दे आर ओनिंग कंपनीज. डिपेंड करता है ना कि तुमने क्या एक्यूमेन कलेक्ट किया है, तुम्हारे क्या सपोर्ट सिस्टम से. सो नो एजुकेशन इज बैड, बट रिमेंबर दैट कंटिन्यू टू लर्न. लाइफ लॉन्ग लर्निंग शुड बी योर ऑब्जेक्टिव. मैं सारी उम्र सीखता जाऊंगा और जहां मेरी को अच्छी इंफॉर्मेशन मिलेगी, जहां से मेरे को फायदा है, मेरे आगे से आप भी तो पेरेंट बनेंगे ना. Things to remember. So learn and work. We both are Mr. Sharma and myself have numerous years of education, but we didn't start by all the education. We did it slow and steady. We have come to this point. Would you agree with that?
Totally. I'll say it's a continuous process. We need to be of an open mind to learn all through our life.
Yes.
Right? But it has to come from a personality. An individual must know if they want to continue and learn. Not everyone wants to read every day, right?
Yeah.
So it's individual personality. But with a diploma or degree, career options are available for everyone and they can succeed if they have the zeal to succeed.
Absolutely.
Right? और इस पे हिंदी वालों के लिए, पंजाबी वालों के लिए यही कहूंगा कि भाई तीले तो तीला नहीं नापिया जा सकता. ਰਾਈਟ. ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅੱਗੇ ਵਧਣਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਮਿਹਨਤ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਹੀ ਕਰਨੀ ਪਏਗੀ. ਭਾਵੇਂ ਡਿਪਲੋਮਾ ਦਾ ਰੂਟ ਲਓ, ਭਾਵੇਂ ਡਿਗਰੀ ਦਾ ਰੂਟ ਲਓ. ਹਾਂ, ਜਦੋਂ ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਦਾ ਟਾਈਮ ਆਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਥੋੜੇ ਡਿਫਰੈਂਸਸ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਈ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਡਿਪਲੋਮਾ ਵਾਲੇ ਨੂੰ ਥੋੜੀ ਮਿਹਨਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਕਰਨੀ ਪਏਗੀ, ਡਿਗਰੀ ਵਾਲਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਥੋੜੇ ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਪੁਆਇੰਟਸ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਮਿਲਣਗੇ, ਤਾਂ ਉਸ ਟਾਈਮ ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਡਿਫਰੈਂਸ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕ੍ਰੀਏਟ ਹੋਏਗਾ ਉਹ ਸਰਕਾਰੀ ਤੰਤਰ ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਹੈ, ਨਾ ਕਿ ਜੌਬ ਮਾਰਕੀਟ ਦੇ। ਤਾਂ ਜੌਬ ਮਾਰਕੀਟ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮਿਹਨਤ ਤੋਂ ਡਿਪੈਂਡ ਕਰੇਗੀ।
Yes.
ਤਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਫਾਈਨਲ ਸਟੇजेस ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਆ ਇਸ ਆਪਣੇ ਇੰਟਰਵਿਊ ਦੇ, ਇੱਕ ਦੋ ਕੁਐਸਚਨਸ ਹੋਰ ਪੁੱਛਾਂਗੇ ਕਿ what steps has the university undertaken for ensuring equity, diversity and inclusion? Especially ਜਦੋਂ ਤੋਂ white supremacy, Black Lives Matters, things started to happen in US and even in Canada a little bit, people are scared, especially parents who are of color. They're scared in sending their kids overseas. So they're like, is there a mechanism available at the university? And is it going to be safe for the students to be there in Canada?
Thank you so much. We both are part of that equity thing. I personally will tell you that I have been heavily supported by my colleagues in universities and schools where I've worked. There's absolutely reason to fear and worry about equity because we sit next to the big United States of America. We are not USA. We are very much Canada, and we have rules, Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Universities, all of the universities, and Mr. Sharma is part of that committee at a very high position, in which we have developed processes, protocols on how to deal with inequity. Of course, human beings are human beings. They are going to do things which are harmful to somebody else, and that's not by design. Sometimes by nature. Enough has been done in University of Waterloo and in Canada to create committees and discuss obvious racial discrimination in the community. We are a multicultural society. We are all different. Majority of us were not born in Canada. We came to Canada through our parents or individually. Will somebody say something or not give you a job because of your color or because of your country? Yes, it can happen. That's why we have a process by which you can bring that grievance forward and people will take it forward. It is very serious offense to do that. So please do not worry. And I will tell you one thing, that we have 20% of the population in Waterloo is international. We take pride. We take pride in giving equal representation to all students. So it is not like a child of a European descent will get better treatment at co-op and a child from an Indian descent will get less. No such thing. It is all, we don't give jobs, we teach students how to get jobs. So that question has been asked to me personally by parents कि ये तो गोरा नहीं है तो इसको जॉब नहीं मिलेगी. मैंने कहा इसका क्या मतलब होता है. मैं आप एक से छोटी सी बात कहूंगी जो मैंने मिस्टर शर्मा को कही कि आप किसी भी टॉप इंडस्ट्री में चले जाएं, आपको वहां पे इंटरनेशनल बंदा ही मिलेगा. इंटरनेशनल मीनिंग इट कुड बी यूरोपियन इंटरनेशनल, बट आपको अपने रंग वाला बंदा भी वहां मिलेगा क्योंकि हमारे टैलेंट्स को पहचाना जा रहा है. लुक एट द प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ वाटरलू, Dr. Goyal, is of Indian diaspora. So there is definitely a fear, and fear is being coming from people like Mr. Trump and his rhetoric. I don't know. I don't believe that he was wanting to have negativity of that nature come out, but those kind of behaviors have caused some issues for us to think about, and we have become well governed, and we do have committees and policies in place to make sure there's equity and nobody feels like a second class citizen. I certainly don't. I've not felt any of that. So I'm here to assist you to not feel that. And if you do feel it, there is different steps to take. And can you add to that, Mr. Sharma?
I will say Canada, proud nation. I'm proud to be Canadian the same way as Karuna Jai is proud to be a Canadian. On the same side, we also believe there is room for improvement, and we will work hard that everyone succeeds. And for the future, for the benefit of our children, we have to talk about this issue openly, raise the questions wherever we feel there is something which is not going in favor of the younger generation or people of minority. We have platforms where we can raise issues. But Canada overall is a good place to be in. And while we are in the system, we can bring the difference. We cannot
But
change the system from being outside of it. So we have
absolutely,
to
and
fight
we're raising
from
the
within.
bar. We are also raising the bar.
Right.
We are saying not good enough to just talk about it. We want action.
Yep.
So if we identify an issue, we have raised the bar as community of people to say that we definitely want to make sure that it's an inclusive society based on principle of equity and respect, and that is it. That's how we want to approach it.
वेरी गुड जी। करुणा जी, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, अपने बिजी टाइम में से ये 1 घंटा आपने हमें और हमारे व्यूअर्स को दिया। अब चलते चलते सिर्फ एक चीज आपकी तरफ से चाहिए कि अगर बच्चे स्टूडेंट्स आपको कांटेक्ट करना चाहें, वो कैसे आपको रीच आउट कर सकते हैं? कोई ईमेल आईडी आपकी, कोई वेबसाइट अगर आप बताना चाहेंगे?
तो हम लिख सकते हैं, ये चैट बॉक्स में लिख दें अपनी
श्योर, लिख
email.
दीजिए प्लीज।
So
यस।
I will write my email ID in the chat box, and please definitely get in touch with me. I'm also writing my WhatsApp. If you are interested in getting in touch with me, I would like you to come and be part of my big academic group. And I am in Canada and have been for well, since this March, have not traveled out. So I'm giving you that. And I'm giving you one more link to look at. It's called the University of Waterloo link. And I will also assist you with other universities as they're in my panel of universities and assist you to get a very good admission. So, future students, thank you so much for having me here. It has been a real pleasure, and what a lovely platform to speak. And I wish you all the best, Mr. Sharma. This is a great thing you're doing for students, and this takes a lot of energy and a lot of planning. And I appreciate the time you have spent in preparing for this. Thank you so much.
थैंक यू जी, मोस्ट वेलकम। तो सारे दर्शक, सारे व्यूअर्स, this was a very pleasure discussion with Karuna ji, and now I hope you have learned about University of Waterloo and a lot more things. In our next section, we will bring another guest from any other university, and we'll connect with you next week. Till now, take care and goodbye.
Thank you. All the best to the students and parents who are watching.